Hey guys, this is Nate from RunDreamAchieve.com. Hope you all are having a great week of training. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing how to sustain pace in your race. This is one of the biggest issues that middle to long distance runners have to deal with, and I've also dealt with it over the years many times myself. So what I wanted to do with this video is to discuss 8 specific points that I think will really help you in your future preparation, and I really believe that these particular points helped me over the years to drop significant time off of my 5K all the way up to my marathon events. Even when I was in high school and in college, when I was training for the mile, the 1500, the 3K and 5K, I really focused on these specific areas. The first point I want to make is definitely you need to watch your pace early on in the race. One big mistake that I made over the years, and I know probably all of you have as well, at least once in your career, is going too fast too soon in the race. You need to be mindful of the fact that if you go too anaerobic too soon, it's going to cost you big time in your overall finish time. So the longer the race, if it's 10K up to the marathon distance, you have much more time to make mistakes as compared to if you're running a mile or a 3K or a 5K, where the race is so anaerobic and so quick that if you make a mistake in pacing and you go out too fast too soon, you're really going to pay for it in a shorter race, as opposed to a marathon or a half marathon, where you can go out too fast, but you can also make up for it if you back off a little bit. So you want to make sure that in order to sustain pace for the entire duration of your race, you're not going out too fast, too soon, and too aggressively in the early stages of the race. I usually tell runners that are training for the marathon to really focus on playing it smart the first 10 miles of the race and make the marathon a 16-mile race or 16.2-mile race. Really focus in on your overall goal pace. What is your goal pace that you want to hit for the marathon or for your specific event? And make sure you're not going out 10 to 20, 30 seconds under your goal race pace in the early stages of your particular race. Pace sustainment obviously is about making sure that you're able to clear lactic acid faster than it's building up in the race. And that's why we focus on doing one VO2 max workout per week. And I also want to, and this goes into the next tip I want to share with you guys, is make sure that you're also training on hills. When I was training for the marathon, even 5K up to the marathon distance, I would usually do bi-weekly, one hill workout bi-weekly. And that workout usually was finding a hill anywhere from 200 to 300 meters in length. And early on, when I wasn't as anaerobically fit, I would moderately, sprint up the hill, but it wasn't an all-out effort. It was just a moderate effort, maybe going all out in the last, 10 to 15 meters of a 200 to 300 meter hill. But I would do a moderate effort up and then walk down. And then as I got very anaerobically fit, and I was very, very fit in the later stages of my buildup, I would focus on sprinting up the hill and jogging on the way down. And what hills obviously do for you is really help. It's a VO2 max workout where you're building up so much lactic acid that you cannot clear that. That's why you redline, going up the hill, and you really struggle, especially when you're not very fit. You're not very anaerobically fit in the early stages of your buildup. So if you want to sustain pace in your race, you need to stress the systems, the anaerobic systems of your body. That's doing those hill repetitions. It's developing speed, which is the next tip. We work on speed, getting on the track, really training at closer to our VO2 max, which is our maximum oxygen uptake. This is where you're running at such a high intensity that you simply cannot clear lactic acid faster than it's building up. This is why we can only spend it's a few seconds to a few minutes at these particular efforts. So it's important to train at paces that are much faster than you're planning on running at in your race. When I was training for trying to break 2:22 for the marathon, I knew I need to average 5:25 per mile for 26.2 miles. So I had to spend significant time training well under 5-minute mile pace so I could get that 5:25 per mile pace to feel sustainable, and to be, for me to be able to sustain that, I had to train at such high anaerobic efforts over an extended period of time, that so I could get that race pace to feel easier. So that's really important. If you want to sustain pace for your race, it's so critical that you spend sufficient time training at paces that are closer to, down to your 5K to 10K race pace. You're not going to be able to sustain that particular effort for a half marathon or a marathon. But if you're training at those paces that are so fast that you could only spend a few minutes at, it's going to make you so strong mentally and physically that you will be able to sustain pace in your race more efficiently. And that's the key. You want to use leverage. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. And the best athletes, some of the best athletes in the world, not some, all of the best athletes in the world, that's why they make it look so easy. They've trained it at their anaerobic threshold for very long periods of time. They've trained at their VO2 max, and they do that once a week. Just about every world-class or national class athlete that I've trained with or lived with over the years has trained at very high anaerobic efforts. And that's why they make it look so easy. And this is what you want to keep in mind as you're building up for your particular races in 2021 and into the future. Whenever you're watching this video, I think it's really important that make sure that you're staying relaxed in the race. This is the next tip. Make sure you're staying as relaxed as you possibly can while you're running. Practice this in training as well. One of the key areas that, at least for me personally, that I had issues with is, and that I would notice, is my shoulders would start to rise up as I got more fatigued. So you can consciously tell yourself to stay relaxed, stay calm. I'm in control. I've done the work. Tell yourself those mental cues while you're racing. Staying as relaxed as you possibly can is absolutely essential if you want to sustain pace in the race as well, because you can do all the anaerobic work and go into your race physically fit, but it's very important, if you want to sustain that pace, to stay as relaxed and in control and composed as you possibly can in your race. That'll really pay huge dividends, especially in the latter stages of your race, when you're getting tired and when you're not just physically tired, but mentally tired. It's also very important, the next tip I want to share is stay mentally tough. It's to sustain pace in the race. You gotta maintain this. You gotta maintain your mindset and stay the course and stay focused in the race. The best athletes don't always get to the finish line in their particular goal time, because they got weak mentally as well. So mentally rehearse, mentally visualize success, visualize what you're wanting to do in training prior to getting to the race. Again, you want to make the mistakes in training first. You want to make sure you're testing yourself to the limit in training. I always had that philosophy that I was going to make training the most difficult part of my preparation. The race itself was like the reward for all the hard work. I was not going to go into a race, especially when I got very well-tuned and more experienced in the sport, but I was not going to go into a race feeling stressed out, worried, tense, because I had done everything in training first. And so that's what I really want to convey to you all, is when you're wanting to sustain pace in the race, make sure that you pay the price in training first. When you get to the race, look around you and you're going to see your competitors uptight, nervous, stressed out. That's not the time for you. The morning of the race is not the time. It's normal to have some normal, to have some nerves and to be a little nervous, but at the same time, like when I ran 2:19:35 for the marathon in Sacramento, my teammates and I were joking around at the start line. I mean, we were relaxed. We had done all the work in training. So if you're having issues in the past sustaining pace, keep these things in mind. Train at paces that are 30 to 45 seconds below the pace that you're trying to sustain in your race. Especially if you're training for the half marathon and marathon, 30 to 45 seconds, very doable. If you're training for a much more anaerobic race like the mile or the 5K, it may be like 10 seconds to 15 seconds below your goal race pace. But you want to spend that time training at those very difficult, very high anaerobic types of workouts, so that race pace is going to feel easier, more manageable, less taxing on your body. Now, and this is where the mental piece comes into play. In the latter stages of your race, it doesn't matter how fit you are, or how well trained you are, how great of a taper you've had. It's going to hurt mentally. So you got to stay in it, stay stronger up here, so that you can get to the finish line in your particular goal race time. Last two things I want to leave you with: do longer long runs. Okay, so if you've had pace problems, sustaining pace problems in the past, maybe you haven't run long enough in training. So consider doing longer long runs. If your longest long run has been 20 kilometers, consider doing, branching that out to 30K. And then another problem that a lot of people have, a lot of athletes have in sustaining pace, is because they've spent too much time running too easy for too long of a period of time. I'm a big believer in alternating one harder long run followed the next week by a jog, an easy, relaxed jog long run. So you have to vary up the paces of your long runs as well. Spend some time running at closer to around 80 to 85% of your maximum heart rate for a portion of your long run. So make that one long run each week harder, more challenging, and then the following week take it easy, because if you're wanting to sustain pace in the race, you also have to be smart in how you're setting up your training. Make sure you're jogging on your easy days. It's so critical. If you want to get great results, you have to allow time for your body to adapt to the hard anaerobic workouts you're doing. So definitely jog, spend at least preferably 48 hours between each of your hard anaerobic workouts, so that you have sufficient time to recover before you go and attack the next hard anaerobic workout. It's very important that you keep this in mind. Rest is absolutely essential. It's where all the benefits of your hard work comes to play. And make sure you're doing that 10-day taper I talk about. If you want to invest in a training program or running courses, I definitely have resources on RunDreamAchieve.com and below all of my videos. I believe in a 10-day taper rather than starting to drop your volume and your intensity 3 weeks out. 10 days is sufficient, where we drastically drop intensity and volume so that you go into your race feeling more energized. And 10 days is going to make you feel more prepared, in my opinion, than starting to drop 3 weeks out from your race. It's not a guarantee, because there are athletes out there that get great results with a 3-week taper, but I've set huge personal best off of a 10-day taper. So definitely think about those things. I hope this video has been helpful for you all in considering some of the things you really need to be thinking about in order to, in terms of how to sustain pace in your race. And if you have any other questions or concerns, I'm always here and available. Leave me a comment. If there's a particular topic you want me to cover in my next video, definitely let me know in the comment section below this video. Share, like, and subscribe. I appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. And I definitely like hearing from you all. Definitely leave your comments. Let me know how your training's going. And again, I'm always here for you. If you have any other questions or concerns, let me know. And I wish you all the best in your training. And I will talk to you all in the next video.